G'day, I'm Steve and this is Woodworking Masterclass Unplugged, or if you follow it on YouTube, it's Room for Woodwork. In here, this is actually in the corner of a bedroom of my home, and it's called Unplugged, or Woodworking Masterclass Unplugged, where I use 99.9% hand tools. First job I thought, we need a stool. And the thing about when I started the in-home workshop, so many people said, oh, you're mad, how did your wife let you do it? Oh, I wouldn't let my husband do it, yada, yada, yada. But the thing is, it's aimed for people living in apartments or flats or small areas. If you don't have a garage, you don't have an area outside, you haven't got a workshop you can go to. But as I was saying, the great thing about having a workshop actually inside the house is that if anything needs to be done, it gets done a lot quicker, because if I get something that needs repairing or something that needs building, it'll go down to the workshop and it'll get buried on the benches along with other jobs that have been there for a long while. Whereas at least here, it gets done straight away, which is a bonus. And I've just been asked to make a small little stool for the pantry, so those that can't quite reach the top shelf where I keep all my goodies, they can then stand on the stool and reach up nice and high and get to the top shelf of the pantry. So all I've got is 2 bits of timber, 2 bits of pine. One's 230 wide and I think it's about 900 long. Let's have a look, see. Yep, 900 long. And this other bit here, it's 90 wide and 1.2 long. So if you like, 3 foot by 4 foot. So first things first, I want to cut the top and the legs. The top, I wanted about 400, and these aren't precise measurements, whatever, floats your boat. It really isn't an engineering feat. So I'll do this at 400. It's a nice score down there. This is a piece I'm keeping. Get a chisel, any chisel, doesn't matter. And then on the waist side, which is this side, because we're keeping this side, just run the chisel in that knife cut. Now that's given me a nice wall there for the saw to sit in and a bit of a lead-in edge. Just hold that down. And because I don't want to cut the bench, I'll saw nearly all the way through on the bench, and then I'll move it off the bench and finish it off. I'm actually experimenting with 2 saws here just to see which one is the best for inside. Now I'm just going to move that off the bench. That, to me, was much more satisfying than using the jigsaw. Now this piece I've got left, I just have to divide that in half. There we go. First things first, I think we'll true the edges up. Just get a square out. You can see that mark there. And I always put water into the vise, because what that actually does is gives it, the timber, something to stick to. The water actually swells the grain in the timber and it won't move on you. What I'm doing is planing down to this line here. In order that I don't split it out, it's a good idea with a plane just to knock a corner off like that, so you've got a bit of a tangent on it. And that is done. Now square these up and line both these nice flat edges here up together. On the shorter one, get your square again and just square that off as best you can. Have them sitting nice and close to each other like that, so they flush at the ends. pop it in the vise. We'll put it in the vise here. And now we've got to plane down to that line we just drew equally. So it'll bring this one down and this one down, and they should all be square. These wooden planes, I use linseed oil on the base. The metal planes, like these, what I use is a bit of candle wax. And these planes are actually Australian made. They're made by a company called H&T Gordon. But if you have Stanley planes, exactly the same thing. So these are set. There's the other bit. We'll just true this end off here, which is pretty good. So I'll just plane that. The bench I'm using is just one that I made up literally out of some scrap timber I had in my workshop. And it's nothing special, nothing out of the box. The vise I've got on here is a number 52 record, which I picked up on eBay for about $20. So you don't have to have a lot of high-end expensive stuff to make stuff and to do woodwork in the shed, or in this case in my house. Okay, so they're square, they're square. That's the top of the stool, and this are the two ends. What I want to do with the two ends, so I haven't got two pieces sitting on the floor like that, because it's very hard to get, especially if you've got tiles or slate, to get long flat edges to sit straight. I'm actually going to cut a curve out on both of them, so then we've only got floor contact with a couple of inches on each leg. So in this case, it doesn't matter which is which. That looks nice up, and we'll have both of those crown cuts pointing upwards. Both of those pointing upwards. All right, so I've got to cut a circle or an arch here. Now to do that, I want to find the centre of the board. And to find the centre of the board, all we've got to do is divide this in two. So to do that, I'm putting this on the bottom corner. I'm moving 300 to there. Half of 300 is 150. Make a mark. That is the centre of the board. I'll come in 40 mil, which is, what's that? Inch and a half, something like that, on both sides. What we will do is push these bench dogs up, that over there, get this big ruler here. Okay, so what I've done is stretch this ruler between two dogs and positioned the marks that I'm coming in so they're at the outside edges of the curve that I'm making with the ruler, if that makes sense. And we just draw that in. Well, there I have a very slight curve. Pop it in the vise, and all I'm going to do is cut that curve out, close to cutting that curve out. Now it looks a bit raggedy, so I'll get a Spokeshav, and again you can get Spokeshaves generally online for $15, $20. This one's a wooden one, but there are a lot of good record ones and Stanley ones still out there. I think they're 51s and 52s. The 51 is a straight one, the 52 has a curve on it for doing curves like this. Again, this is a H&T Gordon one, and it's got the curve on it. There we go. That's better. So this curve now, when it sits down on the floor, your point of contact is just here and here, and it'll be far more stable. So that's both of those pretty close together.